How does Jesus fit into the spiritual journey? I mean, is he irrelevant? Does he just disappear because Christianity and spirituality are not exactly the same thing? Being a spiritual teacher, reading tons and tons of books and studying and doing well over 1,000 higher self-hypnosis sessions, let me share with you what I have learned, and feel free to take what you would like and leave what you don't like. We are all free to have our own beliefs. It's totally fine. So no need to be triggered. If you don't disagree with something, just keep your own beliefs and move along. And if you'd like to learn more about this topic, I highly recommend a book by author Pamela Cribbe called The Jeshua Channelings. It'll give you a much clearer perspective on how does Jesus and Christianity fit in with our spiritual journey. Okay, so having said all those disclaimers, let me just tell you what I have come to learn. The soul who incarnated as Jesus is a soul like every other soul. He is a much wiser and older, more mature soul than many of us, but he was still a soul on a soul journey. And for the sake of this video, going forward, I'm going to call him Yeshua. So, like every other soul on a soul journey, he had many other lives and many other incarnations. He wasn't just Yeshua one time, and that was it. Like every soul, he would have progressed, quote unquote, up the ladder, so to speak, experiencing all kinds of different experiences and lessons and incarnations to learn and grow and expand. Now, was it part of his mission and his soul journey to come and incarnate as Jesus? Of course it was. And it was a very important role. So what is Yeshua doing now? In my higher self-hypnosis sessions, after my clients look at a past life, they then go and look at what they did in between lives. And in these in-between life stages, a number of my clients have actually met with Yeshua, meeting with him for advice and wisdom and help doing their life reviews, kind of going over their soul path and their soul journey and getting feedback. Yeshua is now what you would call an ascended master or an ascended teacher. He's not just off sitting on a cloud floating around somewhere. He's actually helping other souls with their journey. And it's really awesome because he understands the human experience. I did a higher self-hypnosis session with a client just the other day, and he met with Yeshua in between his lives. The past life that we looked at, he was a soldier working for some kind of royalty, and then he died in that life and went to meet with Yeshua to do his life review. When he was doing his life review, I said, "Are you talking to anyone? Is anyone else involved in this?" And he said, "Yeah, there's a man here that has like a flowered crown on his head and a belt that goes around his waist and kind of hangs down after you tie it." He said, "He's the main one I'm talking to, but there are others standing around and listening in on the conversation, but he's the one I'm engaged with." He said, "He's the one that I come to report to, and he's not emotional about it in any way. It's actually a very intellectual conversation." In this life in between life stage, I said, "Well, who does he feel like? Does he feel like he's Jesus?" And he said, "Yeah, he actually does feel like he's Jesus, but he's a little wider and a little heavier than the images that I've seen. He's more full-bodied and he has a dark beard." Later on in the session, when I was connected to this client's higher self, I went back and visited the issue and said, "Who was that man? Was it Yeshua or someone else?" And his higher self confirmed and said, "Yes, it actually was him." He said they are doing a life review. They're looking at things that happened in that life, and he's talking with Yeshua about maybe some possible different choices he could have made. He said it's a loving, constructive critique. Again, not emotional, just very intellectual. When I asked him, "Why are there no emotions involved when you're talking about it?" And he said, "It's not necessary. It's irrelevant." He said, "It's not important. It doesn't help in the discussion or the debate at all. Emotions have no role in this discussion. They're irrelevant." I said, "Do you remember this man giving you any specific feedback or instructions?" And he said, "I remember the man looking down on the planet and suggesting different paths I could have taken, what I may gain from those other paths, and certain things that I wasn't able to overcome, and telling me that basically I'll be reinserted not one time but millions of times until I get it right, until it's perfect." Then he said, as far as specific advice, I did get some specific advice from Yeshua about following my instincts instead of being worried about the human consequences of my actions. I asked him, what does the end goal of, quote unquote, being perfect look like? He said it's being 100% aligned with your spirit and with your intuition, with your goals, regardless of any real world or 3D world consequences. So if there's a firing squad in front of you, you say your truth and you stick to it, no matter what the consequences are. You could end up homeless. They could take everything from you. You just hold your ground and stay true to your intuition. And don't worry about earthly consequences. That is perfection, and it's very hard to reach, especially when you're in a body with physical results. Physical and emotional things that seem bigger than your soul. They seem bigger in consequence to your soul. So I have deferred many times to my physical being rather than my soul in order to protect myself, even though I'm violating my soul and going against the clear direction of my soul. He said that after they finish the life review, then they start talking about what he wants to do in his next life and what he wants to learn. Just before he talked about what he was going to do in the next life and the goals he wanted to accomplish, he talked a little bit more about Yeshua, and let me tell you what he said about Yeshua. He said, he's there for me in a very big way and for many, many others, and he's just pure strength and knowledge and light and comfort. He has a lot of information and knowing that us younger people, we just don't understand. So he cannot even explain everything we need to know because we don't even have enough information to even be able to process it. And I'm just going back and forth with him, making all kinds of decisions. So after my client was done with this kind of back and forth and talking about what he wanted to do in the next life, I asked him, I said, are you excited to go to the next life? And he said, I don't get excited. I'm just very logical, very neutral, very thinking. I don't feel emotions. It's very logical. It's more tactical. It's more like making a decision, doing it, and just going there. I'm not excited, but I'm ready. At that point, I asked him, can you ask Yeshua, what is the end game to all of this, to all of these lives? And he responded and said, I am him. We are all one. We are all together. But I want to be a leader or a guide, so my ultimate goal is to evolve with the wisdom of life and eternity. But I have so far to go. I am so naive and so young. I have a lot of passion and will and desire, but I just don't have the experience. I need a lot more experience to become a wise person. I asked him, I said, why do you want to put yourself through all of this just to become a wise person? He said it's ultimately about having the facts, the information, and the knowledge. And the only way to do it is to experience life and be in the thick of it and to absorb it back into me. It's a non-stop thirst for knowledge. I'm hungry for life and hungry for accomplishment, hungry for successful evolution and understanding. I want to understand more, and the way to understand more is to live it. It's like you have a concept in your brain, but it's not real to you until you accept it into your heart when you're living it. It's where you connect that knowledge to your heart. I'm so naive, but I'm eager and hungry for knowledge. I want to evolve, and I'm excited about the process and the opportunities. To understand and learn, I'm a hungry, hungry student. So like I stated in the beginning, feel free to choose your version of Yeshua that you wish to believe in. But I personally really like this one, knowing that there's a wise, loving, compassionate, understanding master teacher on the other side helping me with my journey, with my healing, and being a light for me on this planet.